All right. Hey, everyone. Let me move over here. Hold on a second. All right. Mark here. Mark P. Markets. Thanks for joining me for another Bitcoin video analysis and other things we'll take a look at. I apologize for the time that it takes me to get this thing running. Technology, you know how it goes. Anyway, so let's get this thing started, shall we? Let me just pull this thing up so I get the correct slide. All right. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. I am simulcasting on TradingView and I can see the text this time. All right, so for those that are new to my stream, let me just quickly explain how this works. So first, I'm going to go over the economic calendar very briefly. Second, I'm going to get into the Bitcoin video analysis here. We're going to talk about some of this price action and what it means and what it can mean for as the week unfolds. And then I'm going to answer your questions. Okay, we're going to do the Q&A portion. Now, the stream should be about an hour long. Now would be a good time to put your questions in the channel. So if you have a stock or an altcoin you'd like me to take a look at, please put the symbol in the channel. If it's an altcoin, USD or USDT after the symbol so that I get the correct symbol. Also, for a fun fact, if you'd like to share what city or what country you are from, that's always cool to see. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as New Jersey, because we all talk like this over here. All right, anyway. All right, so again, TradingView people, same with you. You guys can put the questions in the chat now, and we'll get to them at the Q&A section. All right, so let me just say my quick hello. Stian, good to see you. Stian has been doing some excellent work, people. In fact, he helped me update my trade scanner. So now the trade scanner doesn't just give a price notification when a trade signal goes off. It does more. Okay, it gives the price notification plus a stop loss order plus a take profit order. So it's doing like 90% of the work for you. It's pretty amazing. The thing is, I noticed this problem. People who join my community, right, and they want to access the trade scanner, they don't have a Discord account, and you need a Discord account to access the trade scanner. I need to put that up front. You would think people would know that, but they join and they can't access the trade scanner until they they create a Discord account. So make sure you have a Discord account. All right. And by the way, I do have a free area in the Discord community. So you can check the links in the description if you'd like to join, and it's all there. Okay. Anyway, I have a lot of new things on the way. Stian, I saw your message. I got to talk to you. I just haven't had a chance to respond. But we're going to update the stock trade scanner next, and we're going to make it a lot more refined. Right now, it's just producing large lists of raw data, and new traders have no idea what to do with this information. Okay, so when you don't know what to do with a lot of information, you just kind of tune it out. Well, I'm going to refine that, and I have my ideas. It's just going to take me a little while to do, but with Stian's help, we'll get this thing running. Sure. And by the way, Stian, I believe the trade scanner gave a recent swing trade short in Bitcoin, right? Is that correct? So if you can share that in the YouTube channel here, that would be cool, because I want to go over that at some point. If there's a Bitcoin short, I believe there was a Bitcoin short. And I want to talk about that. It's important to understand how that thing views the market versus how you can see the context around how that views the market. So we're going to talk about that. By the way, I wrote my TradingView article yesterday. Hopefully you've read the article. And I've been talking a lot about this really lousy environment, okay? Just as far as volume, average volume goes, you need to understand the environment before you take on trades. Oh, there wasn't a Bitcoin short? Okay, I thought there was one. Okay, that's cool. So again, if you need to, people are always focused on trades, right? They want trade ideas. They're focused on things on the chart and all that other stuff. But if you don't know your environment, you're just wasting your time, because volume is seasonal. And you need to understand that if there's generally lower volume, then chances are your trade is not going to follow through. Okay. There's not enough interest or activity or catalyst to get this thing to follow through, right? That's on both sides. It doesn't matter the trend. It's just things are going to be more erratic and slower to unfold. That's just the nature of it. So first thing I tell people in this environment, take time off. The whole world takes time off in this month. It's the worst month to trade, especially for smaller time frame strategies. That's why one of the points in my article was, when you have something like the trade scanner and it has very specific criteria that it waits for, that saves you a lot of trouble, because you just wait for the notification and then you can give it a try, right? As opposed to trying to make up your own trades, sitting there. You're not going to sit there for 4 or 5 hours waiting for a setup. What you're going to do is you're going to start to rationalize. You're going to start to make up trades because you get bored. That's just human nature. So having something, I mean, this is, think about this for a minute. The robot doesn't do anything else, right? It doesn't have to worry about paying rent. It doesn't have to worry about being somewhere on time. It doesn't have to worry about being entertained. It doesn't even have to go to the bathroom. All this thing does is wait for criteria to be met, and then it reports. That's all it does. And then, thanks to Stian, it writes it on a spreadsheet so we can track the performance. That's all the robot does. So automation is very important, I think, and especially going forward in this game. If you don't utilize some form of automation, you're just not going to be able to compete, because more and more automation is available and people are getting more in tune with that, and there's more tools available for that. So if you think you're going to just sit there in front of a screen like the old way and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to trade this pattern, you're fooling yourself. Okay. I mean, it's a lot harder. You have to have a lot of experience. And even for me, I have a lot of experience, and I don't like sitting in front of a screen for an hour because it's just not worth it. Okay. Anyway, so let's get into the news real quick, right? So here's what I want to do. I've been asking you guys to check out the economic calendar. You should be in a habit of doing this, right? Sometimes I take a look at it and I'll tell you, but I want you guys to take a look, especially things are slow. I want you to take a look at the economic calendar, and I want you to tell me if you think there's anything important coming out this week. You should be in the habit of doing this, okay? And don't be shy. You could put something in the chat here that says, oh, whatever, I think this is important. I'm not going to make fun of you. The idea here is, let's see what's coming out in the calendar, and I will tell you if this is something to worry about or not, all right? I mean, my students know what to look for. It's the same reports every month. It's the same type of events every month. But there are a lot of new people that come in and they take a look at an economic calendar and they think everything's important, right? And I can tell you that 90% of the information on the economic calendar is not that important. It doesn't really move markets, right? One of the key things in this game, one of the key aspects of this game, let me just refresh this over here, is knowing how to sort or filter information. You have to be a good filter. There's a lot of useless information thrown at you all day long from a lot of places. And you need to know what's important and what's not. I can tell you that 99% of the information that you consume is useless. I can tell you. I know enough to know that. And I know what information does carry value. And that's what I focus on. A lot of people, they don't like to hear that. They want to think that following the news and following their logic and following this line on this chart is all meaningful stuff, but you're just wasting your time, right? There are certain elements, there are certain pieces of information that carry more weight and that allow you to make reasonable decisions based on market information and based on market intent. It's basically becoming a good listener, right? So you filter the information and then you listen. You don't assert yourself. You don't assert your logic. You don't assert your ideas. You have to learn to follow the market, right? The market will give you the clues. And then from there, you have to learn how to measure your risk. One part of the market giving you clues is there's no precision to this. The market is highly random most of the time. You have to accept that. That's a very important part of this, especially as a short-term trader, day trader, swing trader. That's very important. Most people, they do not embrace this idea that markets are random, that they're mostly random. They think that there's some kind of precise way to know where the market will be in 5 minutes or in an hour or tomorrow or next month. And they think they can place big bets on this. You can't, all right? I mean, you can, but you're going to find out the hard way that the key to this game is having a good grasp of risk and management of risk. That's the key game. The first thing that I teach my members and people that come and watch my streams, the first thing that I teach is how to protect yourself. This is the most deceptive business in the world. So you need to be focused more on protecting yourself, protecting your capital, and having a good grasp of what information has value and what does not, right? The retail trader gets fleeced all day long. That is your job as a retail trader. Whether you like it or not, your job here is to be fleeced. And I'm trying to help you understand that so that you can help minimize that, okay? And improve your own situation. All right, enough rants. Let's get into the thing. So who wants to tell me about the economic calendar? Let's see. So Stian was brave enough to get into it here. So Stian says CPI on Thursday is the only thing this week, he says. Anyone want to challenge him on that? Anyone want to, anything else anyone want to say? Hey, Erhan, how are you? From Turkey. All right. Good to see you. Okay. Matic and Dodge. Okay. Dogecoin. The chart is a little hard. Yeah, I'm going to make it bigger, Raul. Don't worry. I'm going to make it bigger. I haven't gotten into the chart yet. That's why it's still small. That's why my face is so big. I want you to love me. I want you to think I'm pretty. I'm joking. All right. So anyway, I'll make the chart bigger. Don't worry. Okay. Oh, it's Stian over there. All right. Hey, just LP. Okay, from Toronto. Cool. So TradingView people, don't be shy. I know it's slow, but now would be a good time. I know a week ago I had a problem and I couldn't see the questions over there. There's Milad. I was waiting for you. No problem. Hey, Milad, it's okay. I couldn't read the chat the week before, and I said hi to you anyway, just in case you were there. But there you are. All right, cool. No problem. No problem. Good to see you. He's my only New Yorker, the only guy that watches me in the entire city of New York. That's okay. I'm not a big fan of New York anyway, but cool. I appreciate Milad, though. I'm a fan of Milad. Thanks for stopping by, Milad. Let me know if you have any questions. So I actually met him. A good guy. So anyway, so Stian says CPI is the only thing. Anyone want to say anything about that? No one wants to challenge him? Fed speeches. All right, who says that over here? Sam says Fed speeches. Which ones? This week? What Fed speeches do we have? You want to be a little more specific on that? And by the way, so CPI on Thursday, Stian says, right? Thursday. That number usually comes out I think that's a 10 a.m. number or a 10:30 a.m. Eastern time number. So people, be aware of that. The CPI report is an important report. It does carry a lot of weight and it can move markets. It can move the dollar. It can move other things if there are any surprises there. So that's certainly one. FOMC minutes next week. Okay, we only want this week. All right, only this week. Fed speeches more than. Okay, so you have now. This is interesting. This is coming from TradingView. Sam says he's talking about Barker and Barkin or whatever. Is that a Harker, Barkin? He's talking about the Fed governors, right? They have their speeches. Now I'm glad you bring that up. It's not that important. So don't worry about them. The only one you're worried about is Chairman Powell. If he's coming out and he's giving a speech, then you should pay attention. These other Fed governors, they usually don't say anything. They usually don't say anything of importance. All right. Dom says jobless claims. Okay. Right. Jobless claims is not that important. Right. CPI. So CPI is really the main thing this week. FOMC minutes, if that's next week's, Stian, then I wouldn't worry about that. Although that's usually a 2:30 on a Wednesday type of report, or 2 o'clock or whatever, 2:30 Eastern time. That can move markets somewhat, at least intraday, but not a big deal. So people who are new, here's the things that you're looking at here's what you're looking for in the economic calendar. Then I'm going to make my chart bigger here, so don't worry. You want to find FOMC meetings, which we don't have obviously this week. You want to find any testimonies from Chairman Powell, right? That's important. You want to be aware of those. Any interest rate decisions from other banks, right? ECB, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, like those kind of things. They can move markets somewhat if there are any surprises. I mean, Bank of Japan had a recent interesting announcement, right? So that you want to be aware of things like that. And of course, the CPI report and non-farm payrolls. These are scheduled every month. So you want to be aware of these because they can move markets. And the important part of that is so that you can mitigate risk. Are you going into one of these reports with a position? Is your position profitable? If it is, perhaps you want to take something off the table. Perhaps you want to tighten your stop. Perhaps you were thinking about taking a trade, but now you're not going to because you don't want to go into the FOMC meeting with this trade. These are all considerations you must have. That's why you need to be aware of the economic calendar. Same goes for quarterly reports for certain stocks. If you're in a stock, you should always be aware of when that report is coming out, okay? You don't really, a quarterly report can have a random effect on the stock. It may come out one way or the other, and then there's this big jump this big gap in the stock because as a result of the report. And if you're caught on the wrong side of that, it can be very painful. So it's very good to be aware of when these are coming out so you can do something, right, and mitigate your risk. All right, enough of the economic calendar. Let's talk now about, let's get into this Bitcoin chart, shall we? And by the way, a suggestion was made to me. I'm going to make this chart bigger. A suggestion was made to me that on TradingView, you know, I always have my Bitcoin article every week. Someone suggested that I should consider maybe making short videos on stocks that are in play or things like that. What do you guys, I'm just curious, what do you guys think of that? You know, would you guys like to see short videos? These would not be live streams. These would be just like quick videos made on the platform about a stock that may be in play or maybe a stock that's setting up for something. I mean, what do you guys think? Just curious. All right, anyway, so let's talk about Bitcoin here, shall we? Now, in the community, I shared a trade. I don't share my trades very often. I built the trade scanner for that purpose, right? Now, the trade scanner, of course, handles smaller time frames, which can be good for swing trades or possibly day trades. When I call a trade, it's usually a larger time frame expectation, which is right off the bat, it's a swing trade, but it's even broader in scope compared to the trade scanner. Okay, so I want to make that clear. Dom says shorts will get you more traction views for sure. Okay, Dom says that. Okay, Alex, yeah, that short videos would be awesome. Okay, all right, interesting. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. You know, for me, it's really a matter of workflow because I have just so much stuff on my plate. I mean, I'm working with Steen. I'm working to clip my other videos, and I mean, it's a lot of work to do this stuff, especially when you're a one-man show. So anyway, but thank you for the feedback there. So let's talk about this Bitcoin situation again. This is for people that are interested in shorter term type trades. So if you're a day trader, if you're a swing trader, you will find value here. By the way, if you like my streams, do me a favor, press the like button, press the subscribe button, press the boost button on TradingView. I could use all the help I can get on these social platforms. Anyway, so this is not for investing. Let's just keep that in mind. This is for smaller time frames. Now, as you can see on my chart here, I have a squiggle, right? You see this squiggle? I'm going to highlight the squiggle. You see this thing here? I drew that little squiggle. That is basically what I am anticipating. You notice that squiggle is in this zone, right? This zone. This is a major support zone, and this zone is located within a broader bullish trend. So those two pieces of information right there are extremely important and carry a lot of weight. This is a daily chart. I'm not looking at a 5-minute chart here. So when I see price fooling around inside this zone, buy signals are going to be more meaningful and they're going to carry more potential anyway, right? I can have a higher expectation of them because it's inside of this zone, right? But now let's look at the price action and let's talk about this a bit because I want to talk about the trade idea that I shared and why I shared it and what's going on now. So the price action in here has been pretty uneventful, right? But we are in an important support zone. The structure going into this zone, which is all of this right here, is bearish, right? That's lower highs and lower lows. But that's not a bearish trend. I would consider that just a corrective move within a broader bullish trend. Understand the language that I'm using there. A lot of people will call this a bearish trend. On a small time frame, like a 30-minute chart, yeah, sure. But we're not interested. I'm not looking at a 30-minute chart here. I'm considering this structure, this bearish structure, within the context of a larger time frame. So it's just a corrective move. My point is, don't get short. This is not a place for shorts unless you're looking at day trades. You're in, you're out, and you don't care what happens after that. But bigger picture, this is a horrible area to be short. So let's talk about this, right? So I called the trade here. Let me remove these squigglies for now, right? Get rid of the squigglies. I called the short on this massive pin bar that we had. See this right here? This is where, I'm sorry, not called short, called the long. We waited for that to close. I believe that was what, on Wednesday? I can't remember the day. What was the day? That was Monday. Is that a Monday? I waited for that close, right? And by the time I called that trade, it was actually 300 points higher than I preferred. But I called the trade anyway because I'm looking at a bigger picture move. So I'm like, all right, 300 points. It's not the best price, but whatever, right? So I'm going to call that. And I put the stop way below at like 28.2 or something like that. Now, since then, what's the next candle we get here after I make that call? This. Okay. That's a bearish pin bar. That's exactly what I don't want to see after I get long. So I saw that, which means the long was actually worth a couple of hundred points at its peak, right? About whatever. This was around 30K before it turned. So that long was worth a little something. I'm not going to get out there because the potential of this trade is much greater, and I want to give the market a chance, right? And I know we're in a slow market. I know that things are going to be erratic. So I'm betting here on the bigger picture. Now, I have not made any adjustments to that trade. I haven't tightened the stop. Obviously the trade is in the red by what, 500 points or whatever, but I haven't reacted. I haven't made any adjustments. I haven't gotten out, even though we had this little price action over here, because I'm betting on the bigger picture, and I know it can take some time. Now, look at today's candle. This was tricky. We had another buy signal like yesterday, right? Took out the inside bar high. And then today, it looked like complete garbage earlier in the day, right? This candle was on this low, fooling around in these low 28s, right? I mean, whatever, this area right here. And now it reversed. Look at this candle. So we close like this, which chances are that's what we're going to close like. That's a bullish pin bar. That's another buy signal. This is a buy signal developing. What's great about this buy signal is it's a compound buy signal, meaning it's not the first one to appear, right? We have a few buy signals in this area here. It's like the third one to appear. So that's a good sign. Since I'm long, I'm not going to do anything. I can call another trade, but the high on that candle is 29,178. So you can round that a bit to like 29.2, 29.3, and that was the same price of the previous trade, right? The 29.3 call was basically this candle here, basically. So this is good to see. And what I'm saying, if you short this thing, or people that got short this, right, they're going to get caught if they have unreasonable expectations. If you day trade that and you're like, oh, I'm just looking for 100 points, 200 points, whatever. Okay, fine. You're working on a 30-minute chart. You're working on a 15-minute chart. You take your little bite and you get out, and you're not exposed to this risk. My point is, this is a high probability long area, and you want to work on the side that's more favorable. But one of the problems with this environment is we have no catalyst, and you have to be careful of the hype and all the nonsense that you're exposed to on these platforms, right? You have to be very careful with that. I see a lot of titles still. Oh, Bitcoin's just getting started. Bitcoin is going to be at 100,000 after the halving, and all this stuff. Please, I hope you're not getting lured by that, because you see a title like that, and then you put two and two together. You use your flawed logic, and next thing you're long, and you're long too early, right? Something like that. Usually those type of headlines come out when you see a move up here like this, because it's just getting started. We're going to have a big move, blah, blah, blah. And that's when you buy it, and then you get stuck in this thing, okay? Anyway, my point is this. We need a catalyst. We need a real catalyst, not some garbage that comes out on a YouTube title. We need a real catalyst. Who knows what that could be? That could be some sort of SEC action. That could be a lot of things, but we need one. And if we get a bullish catalyst, we can see a nice squeeze up to that 31K area, because this is what? A higher low. Higher lows often lead to higher highs. So knowing this and knowing my resistance, knowing that it's around 31K, possibly 32K, I know that I can give this trade more of a chance. I don't have to use a 1.5 to 1 reward risk like I do. The trade scanner is automatic 1.5 to 1 reward risk. You don't have to use that, especially if you can gauge that there is more potential in the trade. In this case, there's more potential. Why would I want to get out at 1.5 to 1 when this thing can potentially test 31, 31.5, 32? So in this situation, I can do 2 to 1, maybe 2.5 to 1, right? I'm using context to make that determination before the trade even goes. You have to have these orders in the market in advance. Otherwise, you sit there, right? Maybe you put your stop. Okay, I'm not in the stop. But then what happens is the market starts moving and you're not sure what to do, right? You're like, this thing's bullish. Oh, yeah, all right. And then you don't know where to get out. And then it starts to hesitate and you're like, should I get out here? And you become very indecisive. You can't do that. You have to have your orders in advance. If the market taps you out, great. You have a profit. If the market taps you out and continues higher, who cares, right? You know how many times the trade scanner, right? And that's why I built the trade scanner the way I had built it, because it gives you the take profit in advance. You know how many times the market will go to the take profit and then give it all back? And all these people that were indecisive at that take profit level got stuck in the thing and they watch it get stopped out. Meanwhile, my people had an order in advance to get out. And there's nothing better than that when you got this nice profit, like a bonus profit, that in a trade that actually would have turned into a stop if you stayed in the trade. That comes from indecisiveness. That comes from lack of experience, right? The robot takes a lot of that nonsense off your table. And you know what? You just place your orders and that's it. And then when you get more advanced, you can do things like adjust your stop or not use a 1.5 to 1 reward risk. Like, so let me ask you guys real quick. Is it greed? Is this greed? Like if I say, okay, I'm long and I'm gonna look for 31K. Is that greed? Because I could probably get out sooner, right? This thing is more likely to touch 30K or whatever, 30 half or something like that. Is that greed? Trying to give it a chance? Yes or no? Who wants to tell me? PayPal launches a stable coin. Okay, that's interesting. Really? I don't know if that's a good thing for Bitcoin. I don't know. I really don't know. Like PayPal with a stable coin. I don't know. It's interesting. These stable coins, man. Tether. I don't know. What are your thoughts about placing long orders on lower support levels to get potential profit from checkouts in the scenario that Bitcoin is still bullish? Okay, that's a good question, Stian. I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, anyone want to tell me? Anyone want to answer that question? Is it greed? If I say I'm looking to get, I'm long and I want to put my take profit at 31K, even though there's a better chance I can get out, in this area right here, right? The low 30s, maybe 30 half. Is that greed? Oh, shakeouts. Okay, got you, Stian. Is that greed, looking for more? Just give me an honest answer. I'm not going to make fun of you. Is that greed if I'm expecting this, or if I'm expecting maybe 32K, right? I want to give it that chance. Is that greed? What do you guys think? Just answer that question real quick. Is that greed taking over? Alex says, no, it's not. Okay, Alex, why is that not greed? Explain your answer real quick. See, and people say, who cares about greed? You need to know this because you don't realize how much greed or fear will cause you to make ineffective decisions, right? This game is about best practices and making effective decisions over and over again. As the market changes, your decision-making stays the same. That's what gives you control over yourself. That is what helps you get over yourself, which is a key thing. That one of the greatest obstacles in this game is yourself, not the industry. Although the industry is an obstacle, the market is also an obstacle, but you are the greatest obstacle. And part of that is controlling your greed and fear, or being able to see beyond it. Okay. Alex says higher lows lead to higher highs. It's reasonable. Okay. So yes, Alex is correct. Stian says no. It would be greed if you would take profit and expect more. Right. So you guys got it. See, of course, these two guys are students of mine, so they've learned. You may want to call it aggressive, right? Expecting the higher high, but that's within reason proportionally, right? Within this structure right here, that higher high to 32 or 33K, that's not unreasonable. That's structural. So the market implies that can happen. So why not try to capitalize more? Why not try to get more? Greed is when you have a really nice profit and you say, but I can make more. right? Greed is your long. It goes up here like this. Beautiful trade, right? One candle goes up there, and you're like, this thing's going to 50K because someone said so. That's greed. Because especially if you're at 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 reward risk or more than that, and you don't take your profit, that's greed. So, and that you say, well, of course I would take my profit. Well, would you? A lot of people start to change their mind. So you have to, that's why you have to have these take profits in advance. All right. So, I mean, look, the title of the stream here is Thriving in a No-Go Environment, or basically the strategy for, low volume environment. That's the theme here, because you need to understand the environment. What are the chances we get this type of catalyst? Who knows, man? I mean, anything can happen, but low volume generally means lower activity, unless there's something very specific to Bitcoin. So, or like XRP, for example, a lot of talk, XRP going to 100, XRP going to 500. Not in this economic environment, the probability of that is low. Of course, there's always an exception that can be made if there's some very specific news, like Elon Musk is going to buy all the XRP possible because he wants to own XRP. Yeah, XRP will go to 100, okay, or something, or 10 at least. All right, it's some kind of stupid news like that. But it'd have to be a very powerful catalyst. Otherwise, the environment itself is not supportive. Okay, you guys get that? So that's really like the key message here. Know your environment and know what's possible. Understand that that's what you need. These things don't trade on their own. They don't trade just because you want them to go somewhere. They don't trade just because someone someone makes a video and puts an exciting title on it, and it's really a bunch of nothing. Right? So please understand that. Understand the season. Understand the seasonality of this game. This is a low activity time, and it's not going to get any easier or any better until October. Okay, so please understand that. It's not going to, it'll improve gradually, but I would guess around October is when volume returns back to normal. And then we see some decent movements and decent activity based on like levels. Like if this was October, perhaps this pin bar long would have followed through and we wouldn't have had this pullback off of 30K. Perhaps this thing would have tested 31 or 32, right? If this was October, but this is August. There's no one behind it. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so guys, that's my Bitcoin analysis. Now let me take a look here and see what you guys are typing over here on TradingView. Okay, Sam, good. All right, that's based on the 28,300 stop, right? Okay, right, because it's proportional. Hey, Suzanne, the market is very low at the moment, so expecting that much might not be greed, but the market has very low volume, right? So if I'm expecting, right, 32K, that would be aggressive. If I'm looking for market to like, oh, I'm going to put my take profit at 32K. That's aggressive. It's possible it may take a month, but it's aggressive. So what's more probable is a closer price, right? 31, 31.5. That would be much more probable. When it comes to taking profit, the further away you put your take profit order, the lower the probability it's going to be reached. Keep that in mind. All right. So if we're in a low volume, low activity environment, chances are it's going to have a harder time getting to 32K. So I can choose to be aggressive or I can be more conservative. That part is up to you, aggressive or conservative. In this environment, I'm very conservative to begin with, but in this environment, obviously I would be more conservative. So I would put my take profit at 2-to-1 max. Okay, 2-to-1. I mean, the trade idea that I shared, the take profit was approximately 2-to-1. It was a little bit less than 2-to-1, but it was approximately 2-to-1 for all the reasons that I just described. All right. So let me just look at some questions here on YouTube. Steven, what is your thought about placing long order? Let me answer this question right here real quick, because this is a common problem that I see too. What is your thought about placing long orders on lower support levels to get potential profits from shakeouts in the scenario that Bitcoin is still bullish? Right. So basically what he's saying is, or he's asking, what do I think of putting limit orders below the market to try to take advantage or capitalize on the noise? Well, that's a very tricky game to play, right? It works when it works. But what you face, though, is the random nature, right? You're going to make money when the market's not really moving, like if it tests. But what's going to happen is you keep doing it, right? Let's say you put limit orders way below, like here, and you're looking for those spikes, and you get a few spikes, and you lock in some profit. Okay, cool, great. But there's going to be one that breaks, all right? Maybe not this time, but it's going to break, and when it breaks, you get caught. So that's what you have to be careful of. You know, maybe you're using a tighter stop so that you're going to get caught in some noise in that, but you have to make sure if you're going to play that game, you have to use a stop, especially because there is going to be a time when it breaks. Some news could come out unexpectedly and the thing spikes, right? It breaks and it doesn't come back. And now you get stuck in it. So you want to play the limit order under the market game, you can do that. And that game works very well in consolidating markets. But when the markets change, like look, for example, back here, look at this back here. Look at this price action here, right? You could have played the short side there, right? And the long side here, trying to catch these tails, right? Defined by the initial tails. And then you're putting these trades out in the future and you may get tapped in and, you know, the market goes back to its mean. That's called mean reversion. Except when you do it over here, this time you get caught in it, right? You get short and then this thing just goes vertical on you. If you don't use a stop on that, it can be very painful. And you say, oh, but all I have to do is wait a few days and look, it came back. Well, it doesn't always do that, right? What if you were playing that game over here and like, oh yeah, I'm going to short these over here, right? I'm going to get short. And then you get caught in this type of move, right? It hasn't come back yet. And that's been like months. So please keep that in mind. That's the risk. That's the vulnerability of such a move when you play that game. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Just have to be careful. All right, let's move along here. All right, so let me now start answering questions. If you guys let me know if you have questions about my Bitcoin situation here. You know, if you guys don't agree with it, let me know. But that's, look at this. I mean, this candle is working out nicely. We're at 29,128 right now on this chart. And again, this thing pushes 29,300. We have another buy signal. Of course, this candle needs to close. And whatever that high is, that could be a new buy signal. And that's nice to see when you're long. All right. So if you're not long, you have a new long opportunity developing here. So I don't know if I'm going to put this in the channel because I'm long. So I don't know if I'm going to put the second long. All right. So let me go over some questions. So you guys have questions, let me know. I'm going to start answering questions now. All right. So going back here. Hey, Sean, it's good to see you. All right, so Alex asks about coin. All right, so before I actually get into the stocks, let me show you this real quick. You guys should be checking this all the time, okay? Check this out. This is the 10-year note futures, and this is really, you want to get context. You want to get a sense of environment. You want to get a sense of probabilities for the near future. This is where you get it from. And this is the bond market, right? Look, double bottom off this area. Now, is that a bullish sign? Does that mean the bonds are going to be bullish now? No, because the general trend from there's a lot of rate raising going on, right? I mean, we saw that from the ECB. Well, Bank of Japan is now going to let their rate. They're going to let their rates loose and go a little higher possibly, which can have significant effects, right? So you had this initial bounce off of here, but you have to realize this market is not bullish, okay? So this double bottom would be much more meaningful if it was within a bullish trend. You can argue that the midterm trend is range bound, right? So if you were a bond trader, you know, maybe you want to play something like that, right? But I don't think I have any bond traders here. Thing is, this is a lower high over here. So theoretically, that support should break, right? If that support breaks and we start pushing lows, that's going to put pressure on things. Don't forget, not too long ago, we had major banks failing in this country, and somehow that all went away, right? But it doesn't mean that all the banks are not exposed to this. This is why they failed, because they're caught in these bond positions that are long. If this thing continues lower, you may see more bank failures, right? Unless the Federal Reserve and the Treasury start dumping more money to put, you know, to cover up things. But that's the conspiracy theory side of me talking. But the thing is, if these bonds start breaking, it puts pressure on things, right? It puts pressure on the stock market. It puts pressure on anything speculative. That's why I was saying in the chat the other day, chances of something like XRP going to 100 or 500, not very high in this economic environment. The bonds lead the economic environment. So we need a speculative environment. This is the opposite. So that's why I wouldn't get all excited about altcoins, especially. All right. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Let's just take a quick look at the Nasdaq too, or we can look at the S&P, right? SPX USD. I mean, what's going on here? The stock market has been ridiculously strong, right? And again, I believe that this has to do with government intervention. We've recently started to pull back, right? And here's the first higher low, right? This is like the only significant pullback that we've seen, right, for quite some time. And it looks like we're getting a buy attempt off of that. I don't know. Sure, theoretically, that higher low should take us to a higher high, but I don't know. Okay. Like I said, that bond market will eventually catch up to this thing. And if you're a day trader or a swing trader, okay, you want to take your small bite, you want to take your trade and look for that higher high. Okay, great. But if you're investing, you're nuts. That's all I can say. With this bond environment, you're nuts. All right, enough of that economic talk. Let's get into coin, right? So speaking of stocks, look at coin. So this is Coinbase. And obviously it's going to move. It's going to be affected by Bitcoin. And I mean, look at this recent movement. They had some problems, I know, with the SEC, right? They were recently sued by the SEC or whatever. And obviously, you know, look at this movement. I don't know when all that court stuff happened. I forget when that took place, but never mind that. Look at the structure. And let's take a look at this on a weekly chart, right? And just kind of get a better sense of what's going on here. So it broke this resistance, and now it's testing it as a support possibly. So there may be something there, at least for short term. You know, if you're thinking day trade or swing trade, I mean, look at this area. So that is certainly a support area, and Bitcoin is also in a support area. So if Bitcoin turns around and can get itself going, you probably see a positive reaction out of coin. So I don't know what you're thinking for this, but I would certainly be considering swing trade on the long side. Let's take a look at some of the recent price action. Look at today's candle. Beautiful bullish pin bar in an area of support. Okay, and we're seeing similar price action in Bitcoin. So this candle closes high 87.89. If that high is taken out, you have yourself a swing trade there. All right, possible swing trade long, which can take this. I mean, for a stock like this, I would be looking at this midpoint area, something like that. Maybe measure potential from there. If you want to be a little more aggressive, maybe measure potential from up here. But I would not be overexcited expecting the higher high, just because I'm a little hesitant on the stock market in light of that bond situation. Now, I've been this way the entire rally, just so you know. I'm not always right, but the higher this thing goes without any significant pullback, the more suspicious I get. And also, the greater the risk you take. So keep that in mind as far as investing. But swing trade, I definitely see it there. That's a nice possibility. It's a nice setup, nice pullback. You know, I'd be looking for that at least follow through, back up, test of high, possibly. You have the structure for that. Okay, so that makes sense. Thanks for calling coin. Definitely a good one to keep an eye on. Hey, why not? From Sarasota. Nice area. Thanks for stopping by. Jimmy, good to see you. I'm all right. Howard, hey, good to see you. Okay, I'm just going back to the chat here. All right, so Steen's asking for YGG. Let me just go to a trading view and let me just see if there's any questions here. Okay, hold on. Can we please look at bonds? Okay, got you there, Susan. All right. Do you think we will have regulation in alts? Do you see an altcoin season? Okay, this nonsense with the altcoin season and whatever. I don't know. As far as regulation, like the SEC has tried to assert itself. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the SEC has been very successful as far as getting what they want. But it also seems like Bitcoin and these altcoins are not welcome in the banking scene. Okay, the central bankers are all coming up with their own. Look, we have the Fed coin or Fed now. Okay, we have what PayPal came up with their own coin. I mean, they're not government, but I'm just saying governments are starting to come out with their own thing. They're not going to want altcoins to compete with. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I can tell you one thing. Here's how I view it. Altcoins, all of them. I don't care how exciting their idea is. They're speculative assets, all of them, right? They're like Russell 2000 stocks. They are highly speculative and they can go to zero. That's how I look at them. In order for highly speculative assets to appreciate, we need cheap money. I don't see any cheap money coming from the Fed. I don't see any cheap money in the bond market. I don't see any cheap money coming from any other sources of cheap money, like Bank of Japan was a source of cheap money forever. Okay, they're starting to change. So how is this altcoin market how are they gonna have an altcoin rally when there's no cheap money? People love talking about it, but where is the money gonna come from? Now, unless there's some other source of cheap money or there's some other kind of theme that comes along, but usually something like altcoins or like, NFTs, you need an asset bubble. You need cheap money, and then they become like the asset bubble, right? Until cheap money comes back, I don't know. I just don't see it, right? And that's something that's proven over and over again. It's part of the business cycle. So we need rates to go lower, not rise. As long as rates continue to rise or flirt with, supports like we saw at the bond market, I wouldn't be too excited about these altcoins. And the other thing I've talked about with a number of people here, like Alex, the altcoins that were the big names in the previous bull runs are not likely to be the big names in the future. Because you know what? There has been. Everyone's all like, the money is going to chase the new coins, the new ideas, right? The old ones, they'll still be there. They may appreciate, but they're not going to be the, get rich. Good thing I put all my money into XRP because it's 100 now. Chances are it's not going to be XRP. It's going to be something that either is new right now that you never heard of, right? That's where, because they're going to have the more aggressive marketing. Understand, marketing is a big function of their success. How many people can they fool, and how many people can they attract to invest in this stupid altcoin, right? And that's what drives the altcoin. Oh, we're going to give away free altcoins and this and that and all that other garbage, right? That's what they've done previously. So my point is, if you're looking for altcoins in the future, consider ones that are new, brand new, or haven't made their moves, right? There's coins that are, they're usually not going to be the ones that everyone knows. All right. Anyway, let's take a look at YGG. Speaking of altcoins, YGG, USDT. Thanks, Dean. I don't get that one. YGG. YGG. USD. All right. I don't get USDT, so I'm going to pick this one. All right. What is this? Oh, interesting. This is on Binance over here. So here we go. I mean, look at this move. Obviously, that's a hype move. Let's go to the weekly chart, right? First thing, let's take a look at the weekly chart. All right, what's going on here? So initially, man, how much was this thing? Oh, we really got to zoom out here. So at one point, all right, this is YGG, right? Man, I really have to zoom out. It was $3.10. That was the high, right? That was the highest point. This thing is now, how much? 39 cents. So gave back most of its value, right? This here is the weekly chart. So it had this pop for whatever reason. Obviously, hype, nonsense, whatever that is. You know how this game is played. Look at today. Look at this week's candle. Today is Monday. This is how the candle starts out the week. That's certainly not a good sign. If you're long, it's a bearish pin bar. You have the whole week before it closes. But if it closes like this by Monday, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be interested in longs. Something like this, when you have a coin like this, you need to know what's going on the inside. You need to know if this was like a hype machine move, you need to know the hype before they start hyping it. That's who gets long all throughout here, right? All the insiders, whoever knows about the hype, right? They all start accumulating before anything. And then when you get a move like this, they all dump it on you, right? That's very common in this space. So if you're not in the know when it's quiet, If you don't know what's going on, do not buy it. Do not get involved when it does this, because they're just dumping it on you. Okay, usually that's the story. So hopefully you learn that lesson. Look at this nasty pin bar. This is a nasty pin bar. If this is the daily pin bar. So you close like this on the daily, you take out that low, this thing is obviously pointing to bearish momentum. So I wouldn't even bother with this. Okay, so thank you for asking about YGG. All right, let me move along here. Okay, just moving along the chat. Okay, I answered that one. I answered that one. Okay. Okay, could you take a look at what is that? Okay, hold on, guys. All right, let me go over here. TCNNF, is that a penny stock? Let me tell you, if that's a penny, let me go to TradingView. I think I missed a few people here. By the way, if I miss your symbol, I apologize. Feel free to reach out. By the way, if you reach out to me on TradingView, it's a lot harder for me to answer those. So if you want to get a response from me fast, just come to the Discord community, right? You could send me a question there or whatever, and I'm much more responsive on there. It's just easy for me to get to. So, you know, you can always feel free to do that. Okay, let me see here. Just, what do you think we'll have? Okay, I answered that question. All right, in this environment, lower expectation. Yes, okay. Huobi's stablecoin reserves, okay, amid reports of executive arrests. What else is new? Okay, right. We're still waiting. When are they going to pull the rug on Tether is what I'm wondering. I mean, you want to talk about executive arrests. You want to talk about crooks. Anyway, okay, can you look at what? At AI? All right, is that a stock? Okay, let me move along here real quick. Executive arrests at Huobi. What a surprise. Okay, so anyway, who knows who's next in that area? But man, I don't know how Tether gets away with what they get away with. It's pretty amazing how they do that. So C3AI, what is it? So this is NYSE stock. I guess I have the correct symbol here. Let's take a look at a weekly chart real quick. So understand something, right? AI is a hype, is a hype name, right? AI, all these AI stocks, Nvidia, all this other garbage, which was part of the rally, I believe, in May, June, July. So a lot of these stocks benefited from that. Okay, AI is the future. Be very careful with that hype. I could tell you what, 3 years ago, the pot stocks were the next big thing, right? Pot is going to be the next blah, blah, blah. Marijuana, everyone smokes it. It's going to be huge. Do you know that most of those stocks went to zero? So be careful with that hype nonsense. Again, that's herd mentality stuff. But anyway, let's take a look at the stock. So this stock, man, this thing was, oh, let's go back to that weekly chart. Where's this thing? Oh, this is the weekly chart. Where's this thing coming from? Let's zoom back here. How much was this thing? 183.90. Okay. It is now at 36.35. Talk about hype. So here's the thing. Something like this, first of all, you have, while it's trying to change, I mean, this structure is relatively a new structure, and it's a bullish structure relative to what's gone on with this thing previously. But when you're dealing with something like this is recent hype. You have to look at previous levels, right? You want to find like old supports. Look at this right here, right? Look at this. This is not a coincidence. Look at this. Look at the touches over here, right? There was support there at one time. That support broke. And is it any surprise that there's resistance there? My students aren't surprised. They know about this phenomenon, right? So that's the first thing. You're dealing with a resistance area. Second thing, and within that resistance area is relevant to a broader bearish trend. So you have this recent bullishness, but it got stopped at that resistance. Okay, no problem. But now you have a double top, right? More recently, over recent few weeks, you have a double top. And is that a bearish pin bar that I see? Yes, it is. Now, this is a weekly chart. All right, this is a bearish pin bar on the weekly, and that low was taken out today. So I hope you're not thinking long, first of all. There's a lot of resistance here, clearly. So that's a bad place for longs if you're thinking long. If anything, like I would be thinking swing trades. I would not be investing This is, again, you want to be careful with that fad stuff, okay? Unless it's, NVIDIA is a good stock. That was part of the AI nonsense, but at least it's a good stock. This, what the hell is C3? I never heard of it. So anyway, this thing has some room to pull back, and it's giving signs of that. So you want to wait, if anything, if you want to wait for the next support, and that's going to be here, okay? This area right here. So that starts at like 28.94, 29. So this has some room to pull back a bit. I would let that thing pull back. And if you're interested in a swing trade, wait for some kind of buy signal to develop there. Okay, that's how I would treat that. All right, so good question. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, how am I doing? All right, still got a few minutes. So, okay, got XAU. All right, gold. That's a good one. Let's take a look at gold. All right, hold on. Why not? True Live Cannabis. Oh, I thought that name looked familiar. Why not? Speaking of, I was just cannabis. All right, what a coincidence. I was just coincidentally talking about that. All right, hold on. What do you say? Has a vote on the upcoming ballot for recreational cannabis legalization, and it only allows sales by companies to state, and I believe True Live is the largest. All right. Yeah, but again, look, what was it? What was it? Was it was it CB? I can't remember the name now. Was it CBC? No, that wasn't it. There was a company. I can't remember the name of it. They were like the biggest. They used to compete with TNNCF or TCNNF or whatever. And I can't remember the name. And they went from like $50 to like $2. So I don't care what kind of news is coming out in these things. That industry is not, there's no money. There's just no money there. If there is, I don't know where it is. It's certainly not reflected in the stocks. Okay. What is that? What is the name of that company? I can't think of it right now. That's bothering me. Maybe someone can tell me. It was a top cannabis stock, CBC, C something. All right. Anyway, let me move on here. So let's take a quick look at gold. That's how long it's been. I don't even look at the cannabis stocks anymore. Gold. So gold, you're dealing with the dollar. You're dealing with the bonds, right? Bonds were working their way lower. So if bonds are working their way lower, that means rates are rising. If rates are rising, that's generally a bullish sign for the dollar. Okay, that's the dollar. Whenever you're dealing with gold, you should always pay attention to the dollar. Let's go back to gold. No, that's not it, Darren. It was. I can't remember that. It was a very big company, and it was 3 letters. I can't remember it, but they were like the leader of the cannabis industry. They were like the leader, and I can't think of the name. And some big company invested heavily in them, and they're practically at zero. And that was the leader. Okay, they were like the best of the best. Okay, anyway, so gold spot, right? So we saw that dollar was rising. You're dealing with the dollar. So you can't look at this chart in isolation. With the bonds doing what they're doing, gold is likely to be weak. This is a weekly chart, but let's go to the daily chart. Gold is likely to be weak. I would not be going crazy with gold until we see some weakness in the dollar. Now, I know there's a lot of talk. Gold is going to be at 5,000, and gold is going to back the brick currency and all this other nonsense. Okay, you have to understand something. If there was any weight to that, gold would be here. Okay, instead, gold is working its way back toward the 1900 support area. That's not what you should be seeing when they're saying that the brick currency is going to be backed by gold. That is not what you should be seeing. So obviously, there's something inaccurate going on there. I go by the price, right? I don't go by what news and all this other propaganda and nonsense that's fed to us. The price is the only thing that tells us the truth. Okay? AC, nope. You guys, nope. That's not Aurora. Nope. That's not it. That's not it. You're close though. That's part of the family. But there's one called CBC. No, it's not C. I can't remember the name. It's if I say it, like, you guys will know it. It's a very popular one. It was, at least, anyway. I can't remember the name. And some big company really invested heavily in them. It's not ACB. Oh, Nasir, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the coins. So you get that with this gold situation. Make sure you understand that, because there's a gold in particular has a lot of hype. Thank you for these, Nasir. Thank you. You can also help me by just clicking on the like button and the boost button and all that. Press subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate that. CB, nope, that's not it. Nope, man, no one's getting it. I can't remember it. It was a very common one. It was very popular. I can't believe I can't remember it. Bothering me now. Another that looks interesting is XPT. Okay. Well, so let me just finish this gold thing here, because, again, people always look at this in isolation, or worse, they follow a lot of these experts and a lot of these, oh, they're gold. This guy has been in the gold business for 50 years. He knows what he's talking about, right? People love to follow that and all the conspiracy theories. Follow the price. That's all you need. Stop following people. This gold chart, I've been watching it because I do some things with gold. There is just nothing here. Gold has been, for the longest time, right? Let's go to the weekly. Gold for the longest time is in a range. And just when the banks were failing just a few months ago, right? Gold was testing that 3-year, right? These multi-year highs. No, that's not it. These were the bank failures right here. Okay. When we were seeing that, gold was testing a multi-year high. You see that? Now, when gold was pushing that high, all the experts came out and they all said gold was going to go. This was the move. This was the breakout. You're going to get rich. Buy gold. I told everyone, you're crazy if you buy gold at a multi-year high. Even in the face of all the bank failures, I was right. Okay. I'm not right because I'm arrogant or because I think I'm cool. I was right simply because we are at a multi-year high, and it's a high-risk place to go long, especially when all the experts and all the other herd members come out and tell you to buy. Please get that lesson. If you could take away anything from my stream, please understand that there's no one out to help you in this game, especially if it's public and free information. They are not doing you any favors, okay? So look at the levels. Right now, gold has a lower high. Gold is looking weak. So there's really no trend here. This thing that's a very large consolidation. And as gold pulls back to the midpoint, right, this area right here, it's likely to get more and more random, right? So this is really a lower probability area for trades, especially short-term trades, while this area here is the high probability area for investing or longer term type of trades. So keep that in mind, okay? Don't get caught up in this noise. Up in this area, clearly, this is not an attractive area for longs. Now, if you're taking day trades, that's another story. But if you're taking swing trades, just be aware that if you're going to do it, at least try to wait for better prices. And as you go back toward that middle, you are going to be dealing with random, right? The random nature. So you want to be able to take your profits if you get them, because the likelihood of follow through, unless there's a very specific catalyst, the likelihood is low. Okay. You're just going to see a lot of noise. And if the bonds continue the way they're going and the dollar continues the way it's going, gold it's not going to be a positive for gold. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, we have 30% inflation. If the dollar is doing what it's doing, then it's the future. Markets don't trade now. They don't trade behind. They trade in the future. So it's the perception of the future. I don't care what's going on now. What matters is what people think is going to be in the future. If the dollar is going higher, obviously they're expecting inflation to be lower in the future. If dollar is going higher, dollar is going higher. All right. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that's gold. All right, you guys, I've been talking too much. So, all right. CGC, Nasir. I think Nasir got it. I think that's it. CGC. Yes, that's it. Canopy Growth. That's it. I believe that was the one. Canopy Growth. This was the pot stock. This was like the best of the best. Look, at its peak, what was it, $50? No, that's not it. Right. Canopy Growth? No, hold on. That can't be it. Let's go to the weekly chart. This thing, I believe this was the one. Right. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Right. Hold on. What's the high over here? 56. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Right. Look at this. This was the high. Okay. 56.50. Okay. Look at it now. Do you think that there is potential in the cannabis business? clearly there is no money. If investors are not investing, this is complete garbage, right? This is the best of the best. Clearly, there's no money. When money starts coming back into this, you'll at least see these levels start getting taken out. At least you say, oh, but we'll be earlier than everyone else. You could have said that all along this pullback here, and this thing just is practically at zero. How much is this thing right now? 43 cents. There's no money in this business. Okay, clearly no one's investing in it. There's clearly no future as of right now. All right, and that's based on price action, and that's based on what we could see from the chart. I mean, look at this. This is horrendous, and this is the best cannabis stock. So I wouldn't get caught up in that. They're going to come out with some new rules. I wouldn't get caught up in that. It's obviously no one cares, because money would be flowing in, and we would see some footprints. We'd see some evidence of that. All right, you guys. So thank you, Nasir, for that. Now I don't have to sit there and go crazy thinking about it. All right, you guys. So hey, you know what? If I missed your question, I sincerely apologize. Reach out to me in the Discord community. Check the links in the description. It's all there. If you're interested in the trade scanner, it's all there. If you want to become a member, make sure you're a free Discord member first. Don't do it the other way around. It's very cumbersome, right? Become a Discord member. It's free. So you can just go to Discord. If you don't know about Discord, just Google it. There's all kinds of information on how that platform works. It's been around for at least almost 10 years. It's been around for some time, and there's a lot of information on it. So you can learn how to use it. I know some people are like, what the hell is that thing? And they don't know how to use it. Anyway, so if I missed your question, I apologize. Please come to the community. You can ask questions there, and I'll be happy to answer. You could send me a private message there. Don't send me private messages on TradingView, because it takes me forever to answer those. Okay. So again, so I want to leave you with this. The key thing, take your time in this environment. Don't be afraid to take some time off. If you must trade, paper trade. There's nothing wrong with it. I know you're not putting real money on the line, but I'll tell you what, at least you're testing your strategy. You're testing the robustness of your strategy. It can be frustrating if you make money with your paper trade, and you're like, oh, that could have been real. But the environment, you're going to give it back anyway. So just get experience, read books, take time off, right? That's what you want to do in this environment. Steen, the light scanner, right? So that's another thing. The Trade Scanner Lite, I set up a free version. That's also in the Discord community. Steen, I need to talk to you about some improvements. I need to talk to you about some things with that. But the Trade Scanner Lite, as it is right now, it looks at 3 markets, and if there's any signals, it'll produce them for free. But it's going to be very sporadic, purposely. But I'm looking to make some changes there. But right now, it looks at Apple, it looks at Aussie dollar, and it looks at Ethereum. So if there are any trades in there, you can see one of those trades. It'll give you the raw notification at this point. But hopefully we can make some updates to that. Anyway, so that's all there. All right. So again, hey everyone, that's all I want to say. Just please take it easy. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is don't get lured by your own emotions. It'll get sparked by some kind of thing that you read or you see, and then you start applying some of your flawed logic. Next thing you know, you're taking positions. Please don't do that. All right. Instead, be patient. Find levels in advance. Have a plan in advance. Everything should be figured out in advance. Don't rush anything. There's no need to rush. You're not going to miss anything, especially in this environment. All right, you guys. So again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch me today. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for watching.